Welcome to this Scriptcase video. During this video we will be creating a custom PDF viewer using the pdf.js library available in GitHub. This is a general purpose library which is used for the rendering or viewing of PDF documents. Within PDF.js, which we will view in a moment, you will find all of the original scripts and you'll be able to copy everything to actually create this project that we will be creating within Scriptcase. My name is Jamie Oates and I'm your host during this video. So let's begin. We have first of all here within Scriptcase an example of something similar that we will be putting together. So we will make this a little further, but if we see here we have a grid application which on a file link opens a PDF within a view for us. So this is open within an iframe and we are using the pdf.js library to actually generate this PDF. So here we can download the library and import it into Scriptcase and then apply the library to one of our projects and generate PDFs instead of using an alternative method. So this is just one way of doing it. I will show you another method as we progress within the training. But for now we're just going to concentrate on the pdf.js and see how we get along as we progress during this video. So within getting started, you will find all the information regarding the files that you will download from pdf.js. So we have here the file layout, which we have here the overview, we have the build information, as well as the description of each file and all of the source documents. So we can view that whenever you want to, viewing this website, pdf.js on GitHub. And within the top menu, we'll also have examples. Now we will be copying most of the code here from the examples to be used within the project, and we will apply them there also, so you can see how this is going to work within Scriptcase. At the end of the day, we should end up with something like this, and we may add a few other features to it. For instance, add the upload option to upload PDFs and add them to a project and make it into a fully working project. So let me go ahead and first of all delete the files that I have here at the moment. And how we would start off is we would first of all download all of the documents here from pdf.js that we need. So we just click here the download option. We can then download the stable files that are available here, and then the files will be downloaded. Now once they're downloaded, then we can enter into Scriptcase, and ideally we would have already had a project created. I already have a database created also, which I will be using for this project, which we'll have a look at in a moment. It's basically just free fields, just so we can use something to upload our files, and then you can apply that within your project however you need or please. So within Scriptcase, we start then first of all by adding our external libraries. So we add our external libraries into Scriptcase, scroll all the way down, we can go ahead and create a new library. We can create it then also for the project, and here we will call it pdf.js, for instance, and click create. Now once our PDF library or our external library is available here, we already see that I have one available here, which is the one I will be using. Now for this demo, of course, I'm showing you how to add them now. So here I would now have to edit this library, and then the zip file which I've just downloaded here, I can then add them here by clicking the upload button, and then I can drag and drop the zip file directly here to this field and click the OK button. Once the library has been added and decompressed, we will then have the available library displayed as so. So we have our build folder and the web folder, which we see here within the pdf.js website. Here we have the build folder and the web folder and the license file, which is how we have this also here organized. So once we have these files uploaded, we can then go ahead and close our library, and then we need to select use the library, make sure it's selected, and then we need to click save the project libraries. Now once you've done that, these external library files will then be accessible within our Scriptcase project. So now I can go ahead and open a blank application. So I'm going to create a new blank application, and I'm going to call this PDF Hello World. and I'm going to go ahead and just click the create button. Now that our blank PDF is ready, we have our on execute code. So I'll start in here by creating first of all the base layout of our PHP file. So I open and close, same as for PHP, and then within the center here I can then add the start of our HTML web page. Okay, so within pdf.js then we have here our examples, and basically we will just copy the script here that we have available. So I'm going to come here, copy this HTML code that's available here, and I will paste that into my blank application. So I have here the script, and I'm calling the pdf.js script file from the website, and I have my h1 title for the document, and we are also creating a canvas ID. So now if I go ahead and run this, I will now have just the title within the page. So we're not actually seeing the canvas yet. So within pdf.js we can come here and we can basically copy the CSS also, and then we can paste that within our page, add a style, paste that in there, and then we can close our statement, and let's run that again, and now we will see our canvas container. Okay, so now within the blank application we have our canvas ready. We have added a style here also for the canvas so we can actually see it within our document, and we now need to add our script. So if I add a script, and then what we can do is we can enter the PDF examples again here, copy the JavaScript, and we can paste that into the script tags. Now if I go ahead and run the application again, we will now see that we generate the hello world, and this is what it's actually opening now. So we have here the PDF worker, which we have here the PDF JavaScript file which is being requested from GitHub, and we have here also a few other options that we can change. So let's first of all make the scale of our PDF a little larger, because when we look at this here, this is a little small. So let's run that again, change the scale to 4.5, and we have a nice big PDF now. Okay, so once we've done that, we can go ahead and change some of our files here. So here we're actually opening the file which is opening the PDF. So this is just a fake PDF that we're loading here. And we're seeing here we have the PDF data. So now if I replace this with var URL and then the actual URL of the PDF, we will then have the PDF again displayed within our document. Okay, so now what we can do is we can replace the path of this as well as the path of the JS worker. So let's first of all, so now that we've replaced the encoded PDF file, let's clean up our document here. Let's move our script into the header where it actually belongs, and then we can review the rest of the script that we have here. So we have here first of all the PDF location, which is what we're calling. So this is then on the website, the Hello World PDF that we are displaying here within the document. We have here the distribution files as well as then the PDF worker. So this is located within the build folder which we had uploaded into our external library. Okay, so then below that we have the PDF download. So this then downloads the PDF. This then also gets the first page, and we have here the option to scale the page, change the page number, and modify the viewport basically. So here, for instance, I can change the page number from page 1 to page 5, and it will open on page 5. And we can change the scale, which is something we will want to do, and increase the size of our document. So if I run the PDF again, and we now have a larger PDF. Okay, so other scripts rendering, we have here the rendering within the viewport, and here an error if the PDF doesn't actually load. So what we want to do now is actually link this and change the file location. So we have here the PDF.js, which is also within the build folder. So let's go ahead and I'm going to add a code snippet, and within that code snippet then we can have the files called from the actual library which we have there. So let's go ahead and paste that then in here and comment out the script. So here we actually want to go like so, comment out this script that we have here, and we are now going to request the PDF.js from the build folder, which is, if we double check that, within our external library. And we have here then the PDF.js, so if I remove the _js to avoid confusion, and then here within our project library we have our build folder, and then we have here the PDF worker and PDF.js. Now you see here I've also uploaded a stevejobs.pdf file into this folder, which we will request a little later, but for now let's just concentrate on changing the location of our files. So here we're first of all saying load the PDF.js. Now if I go ahead and copy that, and we want to replace here the PDF worker, so we copy here the script, and then from here we can then load the JS worker also, PDF worker.js, and if we run our form again, we still run our application, meaning that our 2 JavaScript files are being received within the document and loaded. So the next thing we want to do then is actually change the PDF that we have here. So now if I go ahead and copy this again, and what we're going to do then is load the PDF which we have into the URL. So the PDF was also in the build folder, so build, and then it is stevejobs.pdf. And now if I run that again, this will now run the Steve Jobs file which we have there. Now we see we need to change the size of that a little more, so if I come back here, change the scale to say 1.2. Let's have a look at what that looks like. Okay, so that's much better already. Now I think we could maybe reduce it some more, because we want to actually place this within another file. So let's see if we can get 0.8, and we can remove here the direction left to right within the styling. We don't need that. And I also want to change the border from black to say blue, and run that again. Okay, so now we have our nice document here. We have a nice PDF reader, and we can then use the PDF JavaScript library here. Now, something we're actually missing here ideally is buttons to navigate the PDF, because you can see now that we can't change anything here on the PDF. So let's have a look here at the examples, and here within the script we also have the option to render the forward, previous and next buttons that we have here. So what we want to do is actually, let's first of all add some font awesome and also some bootstrap. So if I paste those in here now, and I have that's missed, and if I now paste that into this page, so I have here the font awesome library and also the bootstrap library. Now I can of course also add these to external libraries if I wanted to, but to save time, let's just leave them there. And if I run that again, we can then also think about adding some buttons in here. So we can see our font style has already changed and bootstrap is being loaded. So now what we want to do then is within the canvas, we want to add some buttons in here. So let's add the buttons above the canvas. And if I add and close a div, we can then here maybe create a new container, and add some buttons. So a button ID, and then for instance we need the previous ID equals, let's close our tag, and we would want a class there also, and then we can close that, I believe, and we can then close the button tag also. Okay, so within this then we want to define an ID. So first of all we have a previous button, we also need a next button, zoom in, say a zoom out, and say a fit. So let's then rename these, previous and then next, and then we can call it zoom in, and then we can call it zoom out, or however we like, of course. Now once we've done that, we can then also add our buttons, because we are using Font Awesome. So we have here previous. Now for previous we can type in previous if we like, and add, say, the Font Awesome icon before that, which would then be the left arrow. Now for the next one we would want a right arrow, and we would then call that next, and here we would want a zoom. For that we could use then the search plus, so FA search plus, and let's call it in, and the next button would be the out, and here we can actually type 100% for instance. So let's continue and add those. We have here the next option for search, which would be the search minus, and then for the next button we would then for instance have the, well, we could just have the 100% as it is, I think, and then you can pick your own icon to place in there as you please. So if I go ahead and run that now. Okay, so we now have here some buttons, previous, next, zoom in, and zoom out, and 100%. So right now they're not doing anything yet. We still need to copy the code in there. So now one thing I do still want to add in here is actually some page numbers. So let me go ahead and add that, and there we now have pages. We have then page count and page numbers. So I can run that again. And then again we want to take the code from the website, and we can then go ahead and paste in our code. So if I now copy the script to place it into the page, and I want to replace it all the way up here to the library. So now we have here within the script the option to zoom fit, zoom range, zoom in, zoom out, and so forth. So now if I go ahead and run this, and we've broken it somewhere along the line, so let me go ahead and check that. We have our library here, we have our JavaScript files. Okay, so I've renamed the IDs that we have here, the button IDs, as they were incorrect. So checking here within the script down here, we have here on zoom fit, and we are looking for the element ID zoom fit lowercase, zoom out lowercase, zoom in. So I've changed here the IDs, and now when we run our application, the PDF can now use the available buttons, as well as zoom in, zoom out, and view 100%. Okay, so now we want to make some changes. We want to create, first of all, a form, so we can actually upload these PDFs, and then we can change the location of this PDF, this Steve Jobs PDF that we have here, and have this actually load PDFs which are uploaded to our application. So now that we have the PDF viewer ready, let's first of all go ahead, create a new application, and first of all we will create a grid application, and select the table, and here I have the table demo PDF JS available within the database. And here I'm only using 3 fields. So I have here an ID field, a name field, and then a field for the PDF, which is then uploaded. So I will go ahead and create that with the current name as it is. Of course, you can change it to any name as you please. And then once you've created that grid application, let's go ahead and run it. And we will see here the lines that we have available. So we have there the name and the PDF. Okay, so back in the Scriptcase, we want to then first of all add another field here. And what we're going to do is create a new field. And we can call this field, say, view, which will then open the viewer. I'll leave the label, and I will change the field type to, well, let's leave it as text, because we will actually use an event to describe what that is. So if I now come here into the event on record, and then within on record, I want to go ahead and target this field and the field view that we've just created. So view equals and tags, and let's close. Now I think what we'll put in there is the span and tomato. So we're going to say here we have a span style, color tomato, and we're using the font awesome file PDF. So if I go ahead and run that now, within our grid application, we now have a PDF displayed here. Now let's go ahead and make some further changes to this grid application. So I'm going to change the layout a little bit. Let's remove first of all the header, and within the toolbar, let's remove all of the buttons and add just the exit button. So we don't really need anything else for this example, and run that once again. Okay, so we have this a little cleaner. We could of course remove the listing and everything below, but for this demonstration I will actually leave it there. So now what we want to do is link this view that we have here to the PDF. But before we do that, I'm going to remove the ID, and I think I will also change the theme used within this application. So here within layout settings, and select theme and select midnight, and then once we're ready, we can go ahead and run that again, check it out, and it is looking much nicer, I think, especially with the tomato and the font awesome icon. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is then remove the ID field. So I'll go ahead and hide that, run the application again, and we are slowly getting there. So now, because it's such a small grid, let's also reduce the size of it. So within grid modules, I'm going to select grid and change the width to say 650 pixels and width unit pixels. And if I run it again, I will now have a nice little grid with a PDF icon, as well as the PDF indicated and the name of the PDF, for instance, or the name of the owner, or whatever other data that we want to store there. So now what we're going to do now is this field that we have, the view field, we now want to link this to the PDF that we have here. So now within the grid application, I will then select the application links, and I will create here a new link. Okay, and because it's now a field, I need to select now the field link and select from the drop down menu the field that I want to target, which is the view field. Go ahead and click next, and there, as it's the only application we have at the moment, blank PDF hello world, so I select next. This will then now automatically open this PDF on click. So if I go ahead and run this again, confirming first will of course help, and let's say we can open this within, we can open it within a modal, another window, or a parent. But for this demonstration, I think we'll use the iframe as we had previously, and we will select the position of the iframe, and we will want that on the right hand side, and then we can also then indicate the width as well as the height of the PDF. So let's say 850 by 650, or yeah, 650. and click Save. Now if I run the grid application again, now when I click on the view icon or the PDF icon that we have added here, we can see now that they are clickable, and clicking on it will now open the PDF. So we have a few changes here that we can still make. We can still increase the size of the PDF that we have here. So let's go ahead and do that. Return back to the PDF, and we have here the scale of 0.8. Let's change that to 1.2, or say let's 1.4. Generate the grid application, or the blank application, sorry. And now when I refresh the grid and viewing it, we should now have a larger PDF in here. Of course, we can customize the size so it fits perfectly, or we can now of course just use the buttons that we have here and leave it as it is without any concerns. Okay, so what we still want to do is actually add a form to this, so we can actually upload the PDF documents. Okay, so let's create then a new application again, and this time we are going to create a form. So again, I'm going to select the PDF folder, well, the PDF database tables that I have stored, and demo PDF.js. I can leave the name as it is, or of course I can change the name. Now, in some cases you may want to select the multiple rows or even an editable grid, but I think we'll just select the single row for the time being. And then here within the settings, we can change this form also and modify the width to 650 pixels. We can add some margins if we need to. We can change the use enter to enable on tab. Once we've added buttons, we should be able to enable that also. But for the time being, we have here, first of all, the ID, name, and PDF fields available here. So now at the moment, the PDF is a text field, and we now need to change this to a document and then file name. Okay, so now if I go ahead and run this, we will now have a form application with an upload position where we can now upload our PDF documents. Okay, so returning back to Scriptcase, we can then make adjustments to this navigation bar again. So let me remove the quick search. I will adjust the buttons over to the other side. We can leave the exit there, and we then also want to change the layout of this. So it is also using the same theme. So here we have then the midnight theme, and if I run that again, we have our form application. And we can make some further changes here. For instance, we could place the upload file on the right hand side within blocks, add an extra field or multiple fields, change the color of the PDF, select file, and so forth. Now, once we're ready, we can upload our file. We can exit out of this and our form app closes. So now what we want to do then is add the form to our grid application. So within the grid application, we can then access the application links once again, create a new link, and this time an edit link. So if I select next, we have the form which we've just created, and click next again. The ID field we can leave as ID, which are the parameters to pass from the grid to the form for the edit links. So I confirm that. We then can specify where we want that to open. So I'll say modal, and we can leave all the other options, or apply a width 650 and the height also 650, and then we can just save those details for the time being. And then we can go ahead and run our grid application again. So now within the grid, we now have edit links for each of our PDF documents out here. If I click on that, the form now opens within a modal window. Okay, so back inside Scriptcase, let's have a look at an alternative method of viewing the PDF. So now within our Scriptcase, what we can do is, first of all, we can go ahead and copy the PDF hello world, and let's call this blank, and PDF, and let's just call it viewer. And now if we go ahead and open this blank PDF viewer, we can go ahead and start to make some changes to this. So we have here, first of all, the canvas and everything that we've added previously, our buttons, the zoom in, zoom out, and so forth. And what we're doing here is we are using the PDF JS library, which we have here. Now, an alternative method would be to actually use the browser window to open the PDF and provide us the viewer. So I'll go ahead and remove the script we have here. In fact, I'll just go ahead and remove all of this and remove our scripts from here also. And I will go ahead and change the name of this. Instead of pdf.js, we will call this HTML5 viewer. Okay, and what we're going to need in here is, first of all, some styling. So let's go ahead and add some style in here first of all. And we want to customize the body. Let's say the body is then margin 0. And then we also want to have an iframe. And now if I apply some styling to the iframe, say display block, and say background, and hash 000, and we can apply a border. Let's apply a height, and there we will say 100 virtual height, and a width also of 100 VH as well. So now what we're going to do is we are going to place an iframe into our page here, iframe, and specify the source, and then we need the type, which is application/PDF, and then we can close our iframe. Okay, so for the source, we want to go ahead and copy our library file in here again, and we can then also go ahead and run this application and see what it looks like. Okay, so for the HTML5 standard built-in viewer that we have, so this is actually the browser rendering this page now. So we have here all of the typical navigation options, drawing options, erasing, save, pins, and page numbering, and so forth, which is what we have when we typically view a PDF with our web browser. So as an alternative to the PDF.js library, which of course we can pass and render PDF slightly differently, which we have seen, this provides us an alternative. Okay, so at the moment we are loading this PDF from our library, which we have been uploading. Now we want to actually change this from the library file because we added it to the library so we can actually load the files and display them quickly. Now in general terms, what you would want to do is echo out the iframe and basically replicate this again and replace the source with the new path of our uploaded file. So here we then have scriptcase myhost.com/scriptcase9/file/doc/Steve Jobs. So now if I go ahead and run that again now, it will load our PDF document within the folder. So now one thing we can actually do within the PDF is we can change how the PDF is visualized. For instance, here on stevejobs.pdf, we can remove the toolbar from the view. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's add a hash toolbar equals 0. And then if I go ahead and run that again, we now no longer have the toolbar available. So that is one option that we could use and that we could then use within our application. So now within the next video, we will then continue in part 2 and add our global variables to this so that when we select to view our PDF within the grid application, it will automatically select the PDF from our database as well as what we are presented within our grid. Let's see that again. So that when we click on this icon, it will open the actual PDF that we have listed here. And then also when we click on this PDF link here, we will then also open the alternative viewer. So thank you very much for watching part 1 of this demonstration. In part 2, we will continue with the PDF.js library and Scriptcase. Thanks for watching.